Directing is about having a strong vision and opinion. From start to finish, your job is answering questions. What color should the walls be? What earrings should this character be wearing? Why does this character say this line? Anamorphic or full frame? Which car and what color? And so on. And this is the same whether you're doing a no-budget film where you're wearing all the hats or you have a full crew doing most of those jobs for you. Either way, you have to answer those questions either to yourself or them. So today, I wanted to talk about my process in building a foundation that will allow me to have answers to all of those questions while also always serving the story and one cohesive vision. And that can be boiled down to creative prep and the three things inside of that which are most important for my personal process. And that is theme, character, and tone. The work you do here will dial in the creative vision for your project and serve as a roadmap for everything else. Of course, at this point in the process, the script is already finished, and if you're the writer in this process, you likely already have a strong idea of how things should look and sound. But if you weren't, or if that's just not how you write, now is the time to start dialing in that vision. The first thing I will do is go through the script and make notes about character, theme, and story beats. These are all subjective and creatively driven. I'm not overthinking anything right now, it's just my first gut reaction. And you can write this right on the script digitally with something like Adobe Acrobat, or with a pen and pencil on a printed version of the script, or on the side with any app like Google Docs, notes on your phone. It doesn't matter, whatever works for you. Now today, I'm going to be showing a lot of my process inside of what I use the most lately, and that is Milanote. Milanote is a partner on this episode, and I talked about them twice before in other episodes, including a full review episode where I go over everything in the app and why I think it's great. It's like a digital creative wall. It's just great to keep things structured and have the ability to move ideas around. And I really like how organized you can be while staying flexible. You create boards in here and keep drilling down to stay clean. Then you have columns that you can drop notes into, images to drive your tone, links that populate with previews, and they have mobile apps so you can drop your ideas in at any time. I'm always getting ideas at like 2 a.m. while lying in bed, so that's perfect for that sort of thing. And you can get a free account, so you can start using it right now if this does look like something that would help your process. Of course, there's a paid account, which is the one that I use. It gives you more, but the free account is pretty badass and a great place to start, so definitely check that out in the notes below. But getting back into it, at this point, I have my quick pass script notes done. Mostly I do this to form that first instinct that gives me a base to build on. And now I'll move into my three main things, first of which is theme. Inside of my project here, I'm just going to toss in a column and place notes inside. I'm really focusing on the whys of everything. What is this story really about? Then diving into the philosophy of that. What does it mean to me? What am I trying to say with it? For There Comes a Knocking, the theme was discussing the destructive nature of unchecked grief. Once you know that, you can really dial in your thoughts around it and how it works inside of the story you're telling. And everything can lean into that, from the environment, the wardrobe, and so on. But after I've made all my notes with that, I'm going to move into character. Something I'll often do here is create character boards. In here, I'll create a new board for a character, and Milanote actually has a template for characters that you can use. I won't because I like doing my own thing, but it is there if you want to jump into that sort of thing. And here, I'm going to build out thoughts on their personality, their past if it's relevant to the story, and how they respond to the world inside of that story. And you aren't pulling this from thin air. It's a response to the events that happen inside of your script. So you're supporting what the characters are already doing. For instance, if the character has trust issues, maybe they were abandoned in some way, cheated on, something in their past that showed them that people aren't necessarily trustworthy. Things like this are going to help shape the whys of what your characters do and will help you build subtext. If you've ever heard someone say the character wouldn't do that, this sort of work is where that comes from. Understanding who the character is will help you understand why they say each line of dialogue and maybe help you find some lines that need to be changed before you ever get on set. Next, I'll start to add in some images for the character's look, what sort of things they might wear. This gives you a framework to answer any questions that might arise about the character while in production, but we'll come back to that. But once I'm done with that, including adding some images of fantasy casting, which does help me dial that down even more, I move on to tone. This is often the first step of what I do. We have an order here for the episode, but in practice, there's really no must-have order of things. Most often, I'm constructing the tone very early on. If I'm the writer, it's happening during that process, with one of the major factors being a playlist of music that represents the film. Music does such an amazing job of helping you find the feeling of the film and helps you guide back to that feeling and get back into that pocket of writing or prepping whenever you need to. So I'll build out a playlist right in Spotify, and I'll continue to add and take away as I really dial in that feel as I move through this process. And then there's a visual side to that coin as well, the lookbook and tone book, or whatever you want to call it. For my tone book, I'm going with images that relate to the theme or the feel of it, not necessarily what the film will actually look like. For There Comes the Knocking, there was a lot of art from Nicolas Amore that really clicked with me. So I'll create a tone board here and build that out with those images, things that click. I'm looking for the exact effect that I'm getting with music. The music in my playlist isn't what the film will definitely sound like, it's what it will feel like. And that's the same idea here. Not what it will look like, but again, what it will feel like. But then there is the actual visual tone for the film. These are references that can be shared to show a vision of what you do want the film to look like, which this will be our lookbook. For this, I'm going to use a few things, but the main one that I've used lately is ShotDeck. This is a newer site and probably the thing that I've used the absolute most lately. It was created by Lawrence Sher, DP of the Hangover films and The Joker. It's just this massive collection of high quality film stills, all of which are really well curated. So you can drill down to extremely specific needs for your deck. And if you've ever had to make a pitch deck, you know how maddening it can be to find a good image for what you're looking for. But you can also just pull images from specific cinematographers like Roger Deakins, or a specific director like David Fincher, which Fincher films are always finding their way into all of my lookbooks. But you can also go film specific or get extremely specific for your needs over here. You can filter your results with a really long list of different options. And I've been using this a ton to build out my pitches over the last year, and it's really been an absolute godsend for that sort of stuff. I still grab things from sites like FilmGrab, that's a great site too, but the quality isn't as high and you really need to know what you want and where to get it before you go there. Now it sounds like I'm selling ShotDeck to you, but I have nothing to do with them. In fact, their site isn't even fully launched yet, it's in beta, but you can register for a beta account, which is free, and there's links for that in the notes below if you want to try to jump on. But now I'm going to go through and compile a folder of frames that represent the film and build that out in another board here in Milanote. For me, this has been the easiest and most effective to really hone in my vision for the project. Often, especially when starting out, you can sort of see or feel what this thing should be inside of your head, but it's hard to fully articulate. So this work is really sort of a research, a process of discovery that helps you get the instincts out in some kind of physical existence. But I found that building this sort of look and tone book while developing a story to pitch and write has really been helpful to refine my ideas and inspire new ones. So all around, I think this is a really great practice to get into. Now, like everything that we talked about, this is just my process. Some may disagree with me, but it's those three things that really set me up for the most success in intentional decision making. During pre-production and production, you're gonna have a million questions thrown your way as a director. With this bedrock of intention built, you'll be able to have a strong opinion for all of those things brought to you. So take wardrobe, for instance. Your characters have to wear something, but from doing this work, you are no longer plucking things from nowhere. You know these characters and what they are dealing with. If you look at this scene from There Comes a Knocking, our character is dealing with the loss of her husband. So we reflect that in the colors she wears. We pick darker colors to push the idea that she's still in mourning. Then in the following scene, she's wearing an oversized sweater that's clearly her husband's, wrapping herself in this loss. And this goes to makeup, locations, color palette, and so on, even into props. A really great example of this is from a Francis Ford Coppola film, The Conversation. I was reminded of it recently in a podcast, but in one of the making ofs for the film, they talk about how Coppola, when asked which raincoat Gene Hackman should be wearing in the scene, Coppola's choice came from theme. With the theme of that film being privacy, he decided for that translucent raincoat since for him, that commented on the film's theme. So taking the time to do that work, filling in your boards with theme, the character, and tone, you're creating a foundation that everything else in your film can be built on. Again, I've been building mine in Milanote, which you can start an account for free, so definitely check that out in the notes below. I'm also on Clubhouse now, so if you're on there too, I'll put my account below. We made a Film Riot Clubhouse, and I'm planning on doing some stuff there soon, including chatting with manager and producer Scott Glassgold about how to develop and sell a feature film. And if you aren't subscribed, consider doing so and hit the bell to be notified if you do. And until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.